Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my video. In today's video we're doing free-to-play oriented tier list, basically reviewing which characters are good for free-to-plays and which are not really worth building compared to others. So what we'll do here is basically the S tier will be for the most value, and like even if those units have like some niche that like makes them like slightly less valuable when it comes to building them, if they're exceptionally good for like small amount of investment, they're S tier, right? A tier is those units who are not necessarily S tier but are still very competitive and one of the best choices that you can make in a game. B tier are very solid choices but not really as good as they used to be, and C tier will be those units who can still be useful but are not really, they're very situational or not really worth using as much as they used to be used before. And D tier is basically just trash, the bottom of the barrel, just completely garbage and something you should never build, you should never focus on unless you want to break your account. So that's basically how this will work. I think that from experience that I had in this game, I'll be trying to be as objective as possible and give my honest thoughts. So yeah, let's start with the video, and the first ones will be the 4 stars. The first one will be the free ones that you get at the beginning of the game, and that is CHIXIA. So CHIXIA as a resonator, I would say C tier. The reason why, it's very simple. She's good for side towers, she will definitely clear that, but besides that, don't expect for middle tower to be cleared by CHIXIA if you don't have Carlotta's signature. You can actually use the newest standard 5-star pistol. Honestly, when I think about it, that's actually going to be her best in slot, because she doesn't only do resonance skill damage, she also does good amount of liberation damage, dodge counter. So she's very decent, and so honestly the new standard pistol for DPSs can actually work amazingly on her and probably is her best in slot. So honestly, even with all the equipment, if her crit ratio is not like very high, you will not really have easy time clearing middle tower. Floors 3 and 4 can be cleared if you have completely maxed out build on CHIXIA, but she's most safe to use on side towers, and that's basically what I will go here. She's decent, not really bad, but again, as a free unit from day one, you cannot really expect too much from CHIXIA. The next one will be YANGYANG, and YANGYANG is basically like CHIXIA. She's like similar to a character I will mention later, like SANHUA, but she's basically like Walmart version of SANHUA. She's basically giving you attack percentage if you have S6 YANGYANG. She gives you energy boost with her outro, but that's not really as important today. If you can just build that ER with your Echo gear, you can just build the AR and you don't have any ER issue. And with that being said, the only other capability she kinda has is basically being a holder of Moonlight Clouds, because how endgame is designed, you need multiple teams to clear Tower of Adversity, Whimpering Waste, and the newest Double Pawn Matrix. So you need multiple teams, so she can still be useful. She's not bad. For side towers, she can be amazing sub DPS, so you can save those powerful DPSs for middle tower. So she's still useful, she's not garbage, she can still be used. Her damage is kinda okay. I saw some people doing funny stuff like doing YANGYANG main DPS and then Lene as a sub DPS, and that cleared the middle tower floor 1. So that's very cool, that's very surprising. She can actually clear as a DPS now, which is very good. So yeah, like she's not going to give enormous amount of like great results, but she's still useful. Her value is still not bad, even though she's a free unit from day one. So she's still decent, not bad nonetheless. The next unit will be BAIZHI, and BAIZHI is like, she's between D and C. The reason why, she can still be useful, but from my experience, I would say character like BULING, right, is more worth building than BAIZHI. Because BAIZHI yeah, she can give you that 15% damage amp to entire team, but the problem is she's not really worth investing, where bullying is better option. And then there's Verina at the beginning if you're a new player right now and before, and now if you're a new player after last anniversary, which was a while ago, you get Shorekeeper. You can get Shorekeeper as well. So you have 1, 2 and 3 supports, and you need maximum amount of 3 teams on Tower of Adversity. So Bulling can go for side towers, Verina and Shorekeeper for middle towers, and you're basically good to go. So there's no reason, almost no reason, to build BAIZHI. Now there is one instance when you can actually use BAIZHI still, and that's the double pawn matrix. The double pawn matrix requires you to have 4 teams getting 5,000 points in order for you to actually get all the asteroids and all those rewards. They actually give a lot of XP, a lot of echo boxes, so that's very important game mode to actually focus on and gear up for that. So that can be very cool. She also has a lot of healing capabilities. Basically she heals quite frequently. And why that's important? Because in Whimpering Waste you have a token, the permanent token, that's called the Pilgrim Statue token, that actually after every 3rd healing that you do, something like that, you unleash a powerful nuke. So basically what happens, because she heals so much, she will constantly activate that nuke and alongside your teammates' damage. So she's still useful, but not on a level like Bulling, Verina, Shorekeeper. So they just completely outperform her in every team. Bulling just gives same ultra skill as BAIZHI, plus she gives more bonuses from other stuff like Electro Flare, which also gives static damage on top of your teammate's damage, so that's way more damage, and she does slightly more damage, like decent amount of damage than BAIZHI. So BAIZHI is like okay down the line if you really need that extra support for double pawn matrix. Aside of that, she's like below C tier. Maybe when I move other characters here, she'll go like all the way down, right? Because she's almost D tier. If we get another 4-star that's like general buffer like Bullying, she'll be here. Because BAIZHI, yeah, she's for free, but she's nowhere near performance of even Bullying. So that's basically what you need to know. For now, she's still somewhat useful. The next thing I will mention, or the next character, is SANHUA. SANHUA is another free character, not from day 1, but basically in the first 5 days after you log in as a new player, you'll get SANHUA. That was actually the thing, if I remember, since day 1. So SANHUA is basically almost completely a free unit like these 3 are. And honestly, unlike these 3, her value is very good. I will say A tier. The reason why A tier, because for free-to-plays that build this character, she's very massively strong. Every future basic attack damage dealer will just scale so good with using SANHUA, because SANHUA is both very fast rotating, does decent amount of damage when fully built, and grants 38% amplification for basic attack damage. And she also on S6, which is really easy to actually obtain, she gives extra 20% attack bonus, and she applies Moonlight Cloud set very fast because how fast she rotates. So she's a very powerful 4-star. So honestly, if you're a new player, build SANHUA. She's very powerful. And the reason why she's so easy to S6, because at the beginner's banner, both SANHUA and MORTEFI, and I think TAOQI, but TAOQI is not really that good, SANHUA and MORTEFI have 50% rate up. So when you do a 10 pull, the characters that you get for 4 stars, there's 50% chance to get SANHUA, MORTEFI, or the third one, I think TAOQI that there is. But so SANHUA and MORTEFI are usually the only ones you want S6 ASAP. So SANHUA, you can actually get SANHUA before the 5th day of login, because how much pulls you get at the beginning, you pull on the banner, and like you will get SANHUA S6 very fast, and same goes for MORTEFI. Speaking of MORTEFI, MORTEFI is the next character we'll rank, and honestly, he goes no further than A tier. This guy is just aging, same like Sanhua. He's not a free unit, but because he's honestly, he's almost like a free unit because of the new players banner is like 50% rate up for Mortefi and Sanhua, so you can actually get Mortefi very easily in like any 10 pull that you do on that banner. And the first banner basically says any 1.0 limited premium unit, you can just choose their banner and pull on that banner constantly until you obtain the character. So characters like Shorekeeper and Camellia are good choices, everything else is almost ignorable. And so pulling Shorekeeper, which is a bit amazing support, you lose nothing by, until you pull her, you're pulling copies of Mortefi and Sanhua, so that's very good. Mortefi, unlike Sanhua, he amplifies 38% heavy attack damage for 14 seconds of incoming resonator, so that's very good for heavy attackers. And he's also rotating very fast, not as fast as Sanhua, but he does slightly more damage than Sanhua, so that's very good for Mortefi. He can also hold the standard 5-star weapon called Static Miss, so that's another 10% extra attack boost for incoming resonator on his kit, so he buffs 10% more attack than Sanhua does, but Sanhua rotates faster and enables better DPS because how fast she rotates. And honestly, I have nothing bad to say. Mortefi, he works with all the current heavy attackers and all of the future heavy attackers because his fast consistent rotations make so much more efficiency for every team that can use these units. They're just that good. Like unless we get another 4 stars that do exact same things like them but somehow better, which is in my opinion almost impossible, these characters will be very high value moving forward, and they were so far very high value units. So honestly, you should definitely build them if you're a free-to-play player. Very good value. The next one will be DANJIN. Now DANJIN, yeah, you might look on YouTube and say, oh, she can like solo towers, she can 23% HAVOC damage amplification for next unit. Yeah, she can work with someone like Prolova, someone like HAVOC Rover, someone like HAVOC DPSs like Camellia, but HAVOC Rover and Camellia can use Sanhua. And honestly, same can go for Prolova, which is honestly the best DPS in the game. But basically what the point is here, HAVOC Rover doesn't need DANJIN to work. Lene, who came out in this patch, is way better support. You might say, oh yeah, but she's a limited character and this is like 4-star. Yeah, if you get this 4-star, you can build her. She can work, but she's not as valuable as these units because DANJIN takes a little bit more skill to be played optimally, because she actually exchanges her HP in exchange for activating resonance skill, which is the core mechanic of her kit. You activate the resonance skill multiple times to build the forte stacks. When you're at least 50%, you can activate Chaos Cleave to get enormous amount of concerto, having that fast rotation. But in order to do that, you need to learn first how to do DANJIN a bit more, and she's not a free unit like a Sanhua and almost like Mortefi are. So honestly, in my opinion, DANJIN is like between B and C. I would say top of the C. She's the most useful out of these characters. Maybe, I mean, she can be cool, right? Her damage is not bad. She's good for side towers. Her general use case, at least as a sub DPS, is still useful. Honestly, I'll keep her at B. I don't think she's on the level of these units, not even close, but she's still useful, very much. And in DPS mode, she can still, like, when I say DPS mode, I mean when you play her as a main DPS, she will perform very decently. She can actually also clear middle tower if you build her fully, and she uses swords, and one of the best values in the game is the standard Emerald of Genesis. So basically that sword that you can get for free almost at the beginning of the game is very good on DANJIN, so that's very good. The next one will be TAOQI, and TAOQI, honestly, in my opinion, is almost D tier. If we get better resonance skill amplification 4-star in the future, this character is just completely dead. This character contradicts itself so much. This character is supposed to be support, but her outro skill is basically sub DPS oriented. It's like you outro from this character and you're not allowed to switch from the incoming character. When someone like BAIZHI and other characters that are support, they just amp the entire team as a support and healer, and it's like, you know, like they give you way better like efficiency, consistency. The rotation is different. In a team with TAOQI, you will play support, DPS, and TAOQI, because TAOQI healing is tailored towards her mechanics, and you usually use her resin skill, liberation, just to like get the concerto. The damage on her is not really that good, and if you want to make her do damage, you need to do something very terrible for your resources. As a free-to-play player, she's honestly D tier. I would say top of the D tier actually. She has one use case, and that's with Carlotta, and if you want to use her with Carlotta and still clear middle tower, you need to have S6 BULING. Otherwise, you might struggle a lot. So that's only one use case. There are other like resin skill damage dealers, but the most consistent way to use TAOQI will be with Carlotta. And to clear the middle tower more efficiently with her on a team, you need BULING as your support. So, and the BULING needs to be S6 to get that, give that 50% resin skill damage bonus to Carlotta. So that's very important. But yeah, TAOQI is like has only one use case, and the reason why she's so bad is because she rotates very slowly for a sub DPS who's here only to give buffs, and for that only her S6 doesn't give 20% attack boost like MORTEFI, SANHUA, and even DANJIN does. Even someone like YANGYANG gives that as a free unit. This character is not a free unit, and when you pull this character, if you build it, damage that she does scales of defense. And the problem with that is that you will use her on Moonlight Cloud. If you build pieces of your echoes on Moonlight Cloud with the defense main stat, yeah, she will do more damage. But then every other 4-star sub DPS in your roster and any 5-star sub DPS will not be able to use those echoes. So you're just building exclusive echoes only for this unit to support one character in a game. That's a terrible value in my opinion. And that character that she's supporting is kind of falling off recently. So that's honestly my honest opinion on TAOQI. She's top of the D, but if we get another unit, she's just D period, right? She's like between this and this. But I will say D for the sake of do not build this character unless you have Carlotta already. Otherwise, she will just brick your account. The next unit is YUANWU. This is like easy ranking. This guy is complete trash. This guy got so power creeped, and it's not that he got power creep. He was like a bad since day one. No use case. He had one use case with JINHSI, but even JINHSI with her premium team is struggling in a middle tower. So he can kind of work on a side towers with JINHSI, but even that feels like hope. So these guys, last use case, only use case that he had is already power crept. Because of HP increasing and all the stuff, JINHSI doesn't have a very good best in slot, and so honestly, even JINHSI doesn't perform that well with YUANWU anymore. So YUANWU has literally, as of right now, zero use case. So yeah, YUANWU is a big no-no. Do not build that guy, you will regret. Next one is basically AALTO, and this one as well. This one can kind of do some damage, I guess. His ultra skill amplifies incoming resonators AERO damage by 23%. That's okay, but let me explain you why this is so cringe and so like contradicting in this game. It's because, very simple fact, the AERO units in a game like JIYAN, then CHUYAN, and and what else? We have AERO ROVER, which is, by the way, support. And then we have someone like CHIXIA, right? Yeah. And Chacona, but Chacona is like sub DPS. But CHIXIA, JIYAN, and all those. So AERO ROVER, let me be straight up. He does resin skill damage a lot if you want to build him for DPS. Jiyan is a heavy attacker. Chuyan, if you build him for main DPS, he's heavy attack damage dealer. CHIXIA does basic attack. She does some split damage, but she benefits more from a basic attack damage amplification than small 23% amplification for AERO. So in other words, every unit, every DPS that can be buffed by AALTO, like CHIXIA, Jiyan, Chuyan, can already be buffed by SANHUA or MORTEFI. MORTEFI gives 38% amplification for heavy, and SANHUA gives 38% amplification for basics. This is only 23, so it doesn't matter. This guy, since day one, had no use case. There's someone like, yeah, maybe JIANXIN, but JIANXIN can also amplify the liberation of, of YUNO. You can just put JIANXIN, which does a bit more damage, amplifies for more, and it works very well. Now, it's not really that good unit either, but at least it's way better than you will... Like, there's no use case for AALTO. AALTO just has no use case. His S6 doesn't give any attack percentage boost, so all of these units are just power creeping these guys since day one. TAOQI can be used on any resonance skill AERO DPS in the future, if you really need to, unless we get another 4-star that works like her. So even she's better than freaking AALTO. The only reason why AALTO is above YUANWU is because YUANWU has no use case. This guy, at least you can cope with this guy. With the YUANWU, you cannot even cope anymore. So yeah, AALTO is definitely big trash, big skip. The next unit I will mention is YOUHU, and this unit is actually not really that bad as a unit, but the problem is no one can actually leverage her outro skill to the value that will be required to clear middle tower. She's supposed to be made to amplify ZHEZHI's or YINLIN's coordinated attack damage while they're supporting main DPS. And basically what she does, YOUHU is like a support for your team. She heals, she also does some minor damage, and she amplifies incoming resonators coordinated attack damage by 100% amplification for 28 seconds, and it doesn't run off if you swap from that unit. So you can essentially go outro skill to YINLIN, do YINLIN's quick swap or something, then outro to a DPS. This buff is still on YINLIN for entirety of 28 seconds. That's cool, but even then, VERINA, which is where? Right here, which is a free 5-star you can get, is way better. Like, there's no reason. Like, you can use someone like BULING or BAIZHI and get way more consistent results. Because this character doesn't provide any buffs to your main DPS, only to your sub DPS, who's not supposed to do that much damage on your team in the first place. So, the problem with this unit, even though she heals, she's similar situation like TAOQI. Her outro skill is basically making her into a sub DPS. And there's currently no DPS in the game that says I do only coordinated attack damage entirely. So this unit currently has no use case. However, because Kuro has been very creative with the damage types and all of these different kits, we can easily in 3.x maybe run into a main DPS that says my damage type is completely just coordinated attack damage. It's considered coordinated attack damage. So then this 100% amp will go all the way here if you get that unit. She'll be all the way here, right? As a 4-star. Because that outro buff, 100% amp, is way more strong than any of these amplifications. So that's a very strong buff for a 4-star unit, but unfortunately there's not a single character in the game who can fully leverage this buff. So that's the downside of this character. Currently there's no use case for her. There might be in the future, but we'll see. The next one is LUMI, and this character is a big joke. Unfortunately, she has big potential, way better than TAOQI. She scales off attack unlike TAOQI. She has the same outro skill as TAOQI, but that outro skill from her lasts only for 10 seconds, where TAOQI's lasts for 14 seconds. On top of that, S6 LUMI gives you 20% attack boost when you activate her ultimate, which also does decent amount of damage if you fully build your LUMI. So honestly, LUMI is not that terrible, but you need to be very sweaty just to make her work, and she will give you results, but it's too much effort just because Kuro decides that her ultra skill will be 4 seconds shorter than TAOQI's. But again, if it wasn't the case, TAOQI will be benched way before, because this character was introduced in 1.4 and she'll be way better than TAOQI if she had 14 seconds of the ultra buff for resistance skill. So she can kind of work, but I would say do not build her unless you're a sweaty player. And for free-to-play players, and especially those who just started, you probably need to learn a lot about the game to actually understand how to sweat with this character. So the next unit I'll mention is a BULING. As a 4-star, I would say she's not on the level of VERINA and SHOREKEEPER for every team, but for resistance skill teams, she's definitely there. So again, like A tier, there's a niche, right? She buffs resistance skill main DPS, right? And the reason why that's very good, it's pretty simple. At S6, she gives you 50% resistance skill damage bonus to the next... so basically how this works, she activates ult with her full forte, that the next intro will basically give 10% resistance skill damage bonus. And that sub DPS will have 10% bonus. Then when you do another intro during that ult being active, that third character is getting 25% damage bonus. With S6, that becomes 50% damage bonus. And why that matters? She on top of that buff has ultra skill that amplifies entire team's damage by 15%. On top of that, she uses Rejuvenating Glow, that's 15% more attack, extra 10% from Fallacy. Then she gives, she can use Variation, which is a very free-to-play weapon. And what else? She also applies Electro Flare very fast. At S5, she actually applies so many stacks that the damage of that Electro Flare actually adds up with your DPS of your team. So it's actually a very, very useful unit and very powerful unit for a 4-star. And honestly, W Kuro for making BULING. She's actually very, very powerful 4-star if you have a right team, right? If you have someone like Carlotta, she benefits a lot. Where is she? Right here. She benefits a lot from BULING, and you can actually, if you don't have ZHEZHI, which is the best in slot for Carlotta, BULING alongside TAOQI can actually make Carlotta clear the middle tower. Even if you don't have the best peak stats of your crit ratio, she will still clear with BULING on a team. So that's very good to know. BULING is a very powerful character. Any future resistance skill DPS will definitely use this character on a team. So yeah, with the double pawn matrix, this character is very powerful to actually build. Now there's a caveat. I said as a free-to-play is a high value, but if you don't have any resistance skill oriented DPS, then building her is not as priority as building someone like VERINA, someone like SHOREKEEPER, or someone like maybe BAIZHI, but not really. Building like MORTEFI and SANHUA, right? So that's very something to keep in mind. She's like the third priority when it comes to supports to actually build. And yeah, that's basically what you need to know. And she's easy to rotate, very fast rotation. So yeah, big buffs, fast rotation, very good unit. Now that's for 4 stars. So the next one will be 5-star characters, and first one will be SPECTRO ROVER. Now SPECTRO ROVER, at the beginning of the game, I would say he's kind of worth building if you want to try double DPS. And honestly, he's not that bad. He still does decent damage when fully built with the Eternal Radiance, the Spectro Frazzle set, because he inflicts Spectro Frazzle. So SPECTRO ROVER is very powerful still. His talents are decent and he's worth building. Now if you don't want a quick swap, then okay, you can just not build him too much, but I would suggest building and leveling up Rover, because honestly he will just age so well, because he's always good on almost any team. Eventually in the future we'll get another updated like a support unit, not really support unit, but like a DPS unit that interacts with Frazzle, like Zani and Phoebe did, and he'll be all of a sudden he'll be back in the meta. So he's very valuable for free to play. I would say B. He used to be very, very powerful for clearing TOA as a like double DPS comp. He's basically budget version of CHANGLI, which is another double DPS unit. So SPECTRO is very good. Frazzle still does decent damage. He rotates pretty fast. He slows time on top of the newest tune break mechanics, so he can actually combine very well. I tried him with CALCHARO and he cleared middle tower floor 1 with CALCHARO. The floor 2 is more SPECTRO resistance, so his damage is like completely reduced there. But on a first floor there's like that sentry construct. He's like that enemy is like great glacier resistant, so he didn't really get too much debuff there. On floor 3 and 4 of the middle tower with Frolova on the team, I managed to actually clear using SPECTRO ROVER and SPECTRO VERINA. You can actually, I mean VERINA and SPECTRO ROVER, but you can actually see that on my one of my previous videos when I cleared actually with the SPECTRO ROVER Frolova VERINA team on floor 3 and 4. It is kinda Frolova carrying because she's the best DPS in the game, but yeah, SPECTRO ROVER can still have use case, and pairing it with the Frolova can save those other teammates that you will use for Frolova for other teams, right? So that's very good to know. That's for SPECTRO ROVER. I would say the HAVOC ROVER has the similar value for free-to-plays. This is basically the DPS version of full-on DPS. It does way more damage than SPECTRO ROVER, and it does very good damage. It can be paired with DANJIN, with SANHUA. It can be paired with even BULING can give some good buffs. So he can easily complete side towers, and even middle tower can be completed with HAVOC ROVER. I can actually clear the middle tower floor 1 and 2 with the HAVOC ROVER. It's not really that hard. And with the Frolova team, you're clearing even faster on floor 3 and 4. So I also did that kind of video, I think, not too long ago. So HAVOC ROVER is very powerful. For free-to-plays, very amazing DPS to start with, so definitely build them, and SANHUA is already amazing support for him. The next one will be AERO ROVER, and this one is kind of like here. The reason why it's because no AERO team in a game besides CHIXIA wants to use this guy. You can kind of use him as a budget option for your AERO units, but his signature that he actually enables is so freaking bad. No crit stats, only ER instead of crit stats. The damage buffs from it are like so bad. You need to invest into his echoes, so much investment, so you can do mediocre damage and give that 26% amplification to entire team. Now, one thing that all Rovers versions are actually sharing is that they're all free to get. All their sequences are basically free to get. You can just complete main quest and story, and you get all these sequences. The SPECTRO one is more like exploration one, and you get all the sequences. Honestly, building them all is very easy. But yeah, the most valuable one for any player at the start of the game will be HAVOC ROVER. SPECTRO ROVER, if you want a quick swap, will still provide better value than HAVOC one because of that time stomp mechanic from his ult and also his outro. Very cool and very fast rotating unit. AERO ROVER only good for like AERO based teams, and even then kind of expensive to build because his weapon is only good on him. You can kind of use it on Brent, but honestly, I don't know, man. Like his weapon, yeah, it's free, but yeah, I just can't find the use case for AERO ROVER that much these days. So yeah, this will be the B tier. Maybe this guy can go here, but we'll see. Overall, I think from the performance perspective, there's more teams that you can make with SPECTRO ROVER than AERO ROVER, so that's more value here. HAVOC ROVER, the most valuable one. So the next one will be VERINA. VERINA honestly aged like Vine. She's still very good unit. If you have S2, which is very easy if you lose 50-50s on VERINA. S2 VERINA is basically way faster than SHOREKEEPER, is almost instant rotation and very fast, 20% attack boost from her kit and 15% damage amplification for entire team. Very fast rotation again, like almost like SANHUA, very fast. And honestly, she enables some crazy quick swap teams, unlike SHOREKEEPER, who is like kind of limited. She's almost a must in a team with JINHSI because she enables coordinated attacks a lot with her ultimate. She's also very good in SPECTRO teams because her S4 gives you 15% extra SPECTRO damage bonus. So that's very good for VERINA. She's very powerful standard 5-star unit. The next one that I will mention that's still decent, that's still a solid option, it's ENCORE. For free-to-play players, she's very powerful DPS. Basic attack damage dealer, she pairs with SANHUA, as you can always tell. She's very good when it comes to budget. There's one caveat. If you're a new player that has access to String Master, which is YINLIN's signature, not YINLIN, but her signature, ENCORE will be very, very powerful. But if you don't, then your rectified options are not really as good as that String Master. So if you started after the anniversary, then ENCORE is very good option because that String Master is just amazing on her. Even something like Frolova's signature can work very well on ENCORE. She's single target based character, so don't expect AoE content like WIWA to be completed by her. That's why she's like solid choice and not really like there. She can still perform, but yeah, there's a lot of good teammates that she can have. There's nothing like bad about her. You can like build her and clear middle tower with her. She's like that powerful, even as a standard unit. That's like crazy about Wuthering Waves. The next unit I want to mention, and honestly, you're about to hear some crazy glazing, and it's CALCHARO. This guy from the, as of 3.0, this guy is way better choice than ENCORE if you're down to learn his rotation. And actually his rotation is not really that hard to actually master as it was before. Before Tune Break, you could just easily get interrupted when rotating with CALCHARO. That was actually the big weakness of CALCHARO. There's actually no good weapon besides Lustrous Razor, but even that was kind of cope because the skill of that weapon kind of conflicts with the rotation of the CALCHARO. CALCHARO is another 5-star standard DPS. Yeah, this cool looking guy is a standard. ENCORE used to be way better option than CALCHARO because you can, for free, just build her with a String Master that you can pick up as a new player. CALCHARO, however, still didn't have a good Broadblade up until now. Now we have the newest standard Broadblade that gives you critical damage, high attack percentage, like 12% attack percentage, and if you have someone like Lene, which is CALCHARO's new best in slot for hypercarry, you get additional 24% liberation damage bonus, which is CALCHARO's main damage type, all time. Because the way the rotation works, he will get that damage easily. Brother, I was having a blast like yesterday and like day before. I was having so much fun playing CALCHARO over and over again, having that dopamine in my head, playing CALCHARO, Lene. Brother, I was not interrupted a single time. That team is actually busted. And so yeah, Lene actually broke CALCHARO, honestly. People say like, yeah, the performance will be so good, like it's actually brutally good. CALCHARO actually, I think, finally easily in hypercarry rotation, he outperforms Zhang Liao in my opinion, because the standard Broadblade is way better for CALCHARO than standard Gauntlet is for Zhang Liao, and Zhang Liao's signature is like only good on premium 5 stars that you may or may not pull. So honestly, and it's basically the second best option to anyone besides Zhang Liao, and Zhang Liao is not really that worth pulling anymore because of CALCHARO getting so much love from Kuro Games. Because let's be honest, Morny is supposed to be support, and as we know from the in-game like teasers that Kuro did, she needs energy regen and she scales of defense. So the newest Broadblade from standard pool is actually not useful on anyone on the roster besides CALCHARO. So that's actually CALCHARO focused buff. And so yeah, besides all of that, I'm not saying ENCORE is trash compared to CALCHARO. I just think CALCHARO now has consistent high damage that previously he couldn't have because of interruptions. He could be used in quick swaps. That's his main strength, lies in quick swaps, and those teams, they do more damage than ENCORE's damage, ENCORE's rotations. But CALCHARO now has a strong hypercarry team that's stronger than ENCORE's hypercarry team. In my opinion, and honestly, because his weapon is way better than ENCORE's. ENCORE still doesn't have a good standard 5-star rectifier. That's very good for her damage because crit stats are kind of more important than giving more attack percentage, and attack percentage can already be gained from substats of your echoes. So yeah, CALCHARO got a lot of buffs with 3.0 release, and so he's now a better option than ENCORE if you're willing to put slightly more effort, because he's not as hard to play as he was before, because of tune break mechanic actually makes him do all of his DPS much more safe than before. And Lene just helps the cause. And let me tell you something, actually I'll save that when I go to Lene. I'll save that why Lene is such a good choice for him. But yeah, basically CALCHARO as a standard unit is not a bad pick anymore. He used to have only Lustrous Razor as the best in slot. That was very bad value because this Lustrous Razor can barely be used on any other premium unit, and that's why the value is so low. Now his standard Broadblade for stat stick can be used on any premium future Broadblade user, and if you have Lene, which is a general sub DPS, she will just straight up enable that weapon for any Liberation Broadblade user in the future. So CALCHARO can just hold that weapon, making him strong, and Lene, which is any future Liberation DPS can benefit from her, he just holds that value until you get another character that scales like him and uses Broadblade. So there's nothing wrong with building CALCHARO now. There's like almost nothing wrong. So that's what I like about CALCHARO so much. The next thing will be JIANXIN, and honestly, in my opinion, JIANXIN is finally, what I mean finally, she's actually the worst 5-star standard. The reason why, because there's only one unit she can buff, and that's like YUNO DPS. YUNO DPS is not as good as Augusta DPS. She's not good as like a JIYAN main DPS. She's not as good. People are like, they're overstating how good YUNO is as a main DPS. In today's meta, if you want to clear as easy as possible, your main DPS needs to do a lot of damage, right? That's completely true. But on top of that, your sub DPS, as we know, for every single modern team, their sub DPS also does some damage. JIANXIN, even when fully built with Moonlight Clouds and all of that, I barely notice her damage on the boss. She almost does no damage. She's supposed to be a support, but her ultra skill says incoming resonator gets amplified damage of 38% liberation damage amplification, 14 seconds. That's sub DPS buff. So she's a sub DPS lock. Let's go to the next thing, which is shield and healing. The only way to get shield and healing is to go through the entire Forte animation, which lasts for a few seconds, and you don't get your time stop. No, you're just exposed for taking damage and you're taking too long. So basically the rotation is you get in, you activate the Forte, immediately cancel it with activating E, basically your resistance skill, then ult, and then hopefully you have enough concerto to rotate to your main DPS. And that's usually the most consistent rotation when you have S2 JIANXIN, which can randomly drop when you're pulling for premium units. So unless S2, she's almost not even worth using even if you play main DPS YUNO, which honestly is strong, but I think with Lene being released, this character just has no use case. Lene is such a powerful character, the newest character Lene, that JIANXIN, if you have Lene, you will never use JIANXIN. JIANXIN is like the worst standard. She's honestly, at the S0, she might as well just be D. She's actually the worst standard character in the game. And you might be wondering, what do you mean by JIANXIN being the worst character in a standard pool? Because there's another standard character, ladies and gentlemen, that is in standard banner that I also hated as well as all of you, but there is something objective truth to the matter that we need to actually address. And that is that LINGYANG as of 3.0, he actually is the third choice when it comes to DPS. If you want the DPS from a standard banner, LINGYANG is the third best choice. And actually his damage is not that bad. The newest gauntlet gives critical stats, gives high attack and high basic attack damage bonus if you have Lene on the team, or anyone who actually inflicts shifting, so you can activate that enhanced tune mode, honestly, his damage is very good with that weapon. And with Carlotta's Sonata set combined, he actually performs very, very good. With SANHUA, that set, and the newest weapon, his performance can actually compete in the middle tower. So that's something worth praise. I think Lingyang finally deserves to be played. If you have some like high sequences of Lingyang, definitely you can build him, and he's not even that hard to play. He might be even easier to play and faster rotating with his damage than even ENCORE. So it's like he might be even more easy to use than ENCORE. So that's something to keep in mind. So Lingyang is definitely, with the newest buffs, also got a lot of love from Kuro Games, but again, the biggest weakness of him right now is actually Sonata set. The original Glacier set has the forecast, which takes 3 seconds just to give you 12% Glacier damage buff, which is unacceptable in today's like standards of the combat, right? 3 seconds just to apply the echo effect is like unacceptable, because you can just equip the modern echo, and when equipped in the main slot, it just gives you the bonuses for free. You don't have to activate it to get bonuses. So that's way better. But the old Glacier set doesn't have that. But the old Glacier set generally buffs all Glacier damage, and Lingyang does the most basic attack damage, and there is no other gauntlet in the game that gives basic attack damage bonus like the newest gauntlet does. So the newest gauntlet is just best in slot for Lingyang. Lingyang is finally useful, finally decent pick. So yeah, honestly, for standards, you can pick CALCHARO, have amazing free-to-play Broadblade option, pick up ENCORE alongside String Master that you can get at the beginning of the game, or go for Lingyang, get the gauntlet, and you're good to go. So honestly, you can build all 3 of these units, and it's like Glacier team, that's very strong, ENCORE team, that's also decently strong, and CALCHARO, which is also very strong. So honestly, there's no mistake building any of these units right now. Before it was Lingyang is a big skip, ENCORE the best choice because you can get String Master at the beginning, CALCHARO big skip because so like interrupted, so like the weapon choices are not really that good, and so like building him was not really that good, and mastering his skills was not really that worth it compared to other units. So ENCORE was like the best choice, but now all 3 of them have a lot of value, and CALCHARO is in my opinion the best one because I found him doing way more damage than before. Usually he does 13k damage per tick, now he does 20k damage per tick. He's amazingly strong. Probably now with Lene on a team competes with JIYAN, MORTEFI, Shorekeeper. He definitely competes with that, even if you have VERINA on the 3rd slot. That's honestly my honest opinion. Speaking of JIYAN, as the first ever limited unit, JIYAN is easily B. He's not what he used to be, but he still can clear content. If you're a veteran player, you already have JIYAN, he can still clear content with MORTEFI. On the side towers, it's easy, that's a joke for him. He's very powerful DPS. At the highest potential and investment, his teammates are some of the best units in the entire game. He's the most premium teams. So if you're like a veteran player and you want to invest into your JIYAN more because you're JIYAN main, there's actually good news. Someone like YUNO is very good for him because she buffs heavy attack damage, which is his main damage source, and also someone like Chakona is very good as well because general AERO damage increase for all the AERO units on your team. So basically JIYAN has a lot of good teams. His best team actually performs very amazingly in Whimpering Waves, which is very AoE focused game mode, perfect for him. He also performs very good in TOA because of the full premium team. And honestly, Chakona is not only good for JIYAN, she's good for every AERO team in a game. YUNO is also good for any heavy attacker, and she's also decent DPS and good sub DPS partner. She heals, so she enables your team to have like double sub DPS or maybe like triple DPS comps. So she's also very versatile, so you're not investing into JIYAN teammates that cannot be used in other teams. This is the power of actually having a good sub DPSs and teammates. This is why I'm saying CALCHARO is so much more valuable than before. Before, the best in slot for CALCHARO was YINLIN. Now is Lene. Lene is one of the best characters and probably the best sub DPS in the game. And the best sub DPS in the game being the best in slot for CALCHARO is very good value, because you get Lene, and when you stop playing CALCHARO, you can just slot Lene anywhere else. And that's the value. Same with JIYAN. You just drop JIYAN at some point, Yuno and Chacona can still find other teams and be very good in those teams. That's why JIYAN, in my opinion, is still an amazing unit. However, the next unit that I'm gonna mention is YINLIN, and unfortunately, I want to cry so much. This character is so hot. Unfortunately, the more aesthetically pleasing you are in this game, yeah, the more you will age like milk in the future. Because honestly, all these characters who are not necessarily like completely attractive, they're like very good units. But someone like YINLIN, who has that style, she's like one of the worst. I would say, if you're free-to-play player, she's all the way here. I'm sorry. After Lene, when Lene, this character right here, this blondie, this peak design deep sub DPS, when she entered the roster, this character went all the way here. She can still, honestly, I'll put her here. She's not that bad completely. If you already have YINLIN as a veteran player, she will still work for any liberation. She will still work with CALCHARO because of off-tune break and those stuff. But Lene just gives 40% liberation amp to CALCHARO, while this one gives 45. But instead of 5% less outro from Lene, but 24% more attribute damage bonus to CALCHARO. So that's way better stronger buff than outro from YINLIN. Also, Lene's sub DPS Sonata set gives 8% more attack boost than YINLIN Moonlight Cloud or like Empyrean Anthem. So more buffing from this unit and potentially more personal damage from Lene than from YINLIN. And that is the main reason why YINLIN is... I think she's even less valuable than BAIZHI right now. Yeah, actually when I think about it, you need to put so much effort into learning YINLIN. I know how to play her, but I regret pulling her because Lene is so much more consistent and so much better in every team, even those teams that the YINLIN should be the best. So honestly, YINLIN is almost completely useless. She can still work and help you clear. Because of the double pawn matrix mode, YINLIN is still like somewhat useful, but she's very close to go here. Because yeah, Lene just completely locked her out of every... She's not best in slot for CALCHARO or Zhangliao anymore for hyper carry teams. No more. Like, she's completely power creep. Like, completely. I don't think there's a way to get her back unless they make some major rework or buffing. But brother man, Lene just cooks. She enables too much. It's almost like double the value of this character than YINLIN was ever. That's like how bad YINLIN's situation is right now. Unfortunately, she can do something. She's not completely useless, but her capabilities, like, she's second or third option on across all the roster. She's like second or third option. If you put her on Yuno team, she can kind of work with coordinated attack and 25% amplification on liberation. But besides that, that's it. That's all she does. Without her signature, she doesn't even do that much damage. Honestly, her signature is more valuable than even her. That's how bad she is, unfortunately. The next one is JINHSI. JINHSI, in my opinion, I'm sorry guys, but CALCHARO I think outperforms JINHSI by a lot. JINHSI needs Cantarella or ZHEZHI to even work. And even then, if you don't have fully built echoes, I think it's not even... She uses Broadblade and she's a resin skill damage dealer. Besides her own signature, there's no other If you have her signature like I do, I have S1 JINHSI with signature. I have Cantarella. She's currently her best in slot because she does more damage than ZHEZHI and does way more coordinated attacks. So with VERINA, she like instantly fills her forte gauge. Even with like a double swap rotation, when you do double dragon per every rotation, JINHSI, if she doesn't crit, she just doesn't clear. If you crit on one nuke but you don't crit on another nuke, that's like 300k damage difference between critting and not critting. That's like huge damage loss if you don't crit. And it's like so RNG, because that's one ability that decides if it crits, you most likely will clear. If it doesn't crit, every rotation you're playing this 50-50. You're like gambling. Either you crit or not crit. If you crit, you're good. If you don't crit, you're most likely to not clear. And that's basically the struggle and pressure that's like not worth getting yourself into. I have S1 JINHSI. With decent amount of echo investment, she still struggles. She's like, I would say, for resin skill damage dealer, go for Carlotta. JINHSI is supposed to be way better than Carlotta, because she's like a magistrate, like sentinel resonator or blah blah blah. Carlotta just no diffs this girl. Like, this girl uses worse set, and she's so reliant on coordinated attack usage. You need specific units. Cantarella can be used for the best DPS in the game, but Cantarella is also not really that much better. Like, here's the thing, the Jaja and Cantarella. Jaja can at least be slotted on Carlotta team, right? If you have Jaja. Cantarella can be slotted on Frolova, but Frolova doesn't need anyone to actually work at the meta level. And that is the reason. This chick right here doesn't require this or anyone on the roster specifically to work. I put SPECTRO over VERINA with Frolova, and it clears the hardest content in the game is cleared by SPECTRO, ROVER, and VERINA on Frolova team. So it's just, she's not even needed in the best in slot. So getting Cantarella for JINHSI is a big waste. Like, I mean, it's not a big waste, it's a good value, but again, that's what I'm saying. Like, she's not really doing that much. I just don't feel it. Like, JIYAN, who came before JINHSI, is doing way better. CALCHARO, who is a standard unit, now is way more damaging, way better DPS than JINHSI. Way more consistent, because CALCHARO just completely does a lot of ticks of damage, so he cannot he doesn't lose that much DPS if he miss crit once. But JINHSI is like, she's focused around one nuke, so her missing a crit is complete DPS loss for JINHSI. For CALCHARO is not complete DPS loss, because he does so many ticks of damage that missing a crit few times is not even that big of a deal. So CALCHARO is doing fine. JINHSI is kind of in a worse situation now than even CALCHARO. That's when I think about it, I think even ENCORE is more consistent, because at least ENCORE can take SANHUA and still be competitively strong and clear middle tower. JINHSI doesn't have a good budget option besides the VERINA, who's gonna be your sub DPS. Like, that's the man. Yeah, the design of her kit is just killing this character, because she needs coordinated attack users, otherwise she's inconsistent, and when you actually finally get that nuke, it needs to crit. You need 100% critical rate on her, but also you need high critical damage to do a lot of damage. So man, it's kind of rough with this character. But yeah, LINGYANG is right there. I don't know, she's like between CALCHARO and like, she can do damage if she crits. If she crits, you definitely have no issue. But if she misses crit like 1 or 2 times, it starts to be questionable whether or not she is clearing. Because neither Jaja or like Cantarella does some damage, right? But Jaja, she's not really that good of a damage dealer. She's a sub DPS, and very old sub DPS. Her coordinated attacks are like kind of okay, but yeah, even Jaja will not increase DPS of the JINHSI team. That's like, JINHSI needs another new coordinated attack user that's very good. She needs new like coordinated attack unit that's brand new, that does something way better, because she's cooked. Even someone like BULING cannot really help JINHSI's damage, because JINHSI needs coordinated attack for her forte, because without that you're not even doing that much damage to benefit from the S6 BULING. So yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, even BULING, who's supposed to buff any resin skill DPS in the game, she cannot buff JINHSI, because JINHSI needs coordinated attacks to even do damage, for that damage to actually use these resin skill bonuses. So yeah, JINHSI unfortunately fell off very hard because there is no update on the roster. when it comes to coordinate attack users. They're very, very good for her. Yeah, like Cantarella being the best that she can get is not like too bad necessarily, but it's like not exactly what she needs to like be competitive. The next one is CHANGLI, and I think CHANGLI aged better than JINHSI. I think CHANGLI is a bit better than JINHSI because if you fully build her, she's also a sword user. She's a resin skill damage dealer, but she's a very good quick swap character. When it comes to actually free to play, oh my gosh, I was trying to see like the value of this man. Like for free to play, actually, because you beginning banner gives you JINHSI. Yeah, JINHSI is here. CHANGLI as a free to play is here. Yeah, I was about to mention she's so one of the best units for quick swap, but then I remembered, brother, free to play players, like, yeah, it's not that necessary you won't play quick swaps, but it's like hyper carry CHANGLI just almost is not work. It's almost a cope playing hyper carry CHANGLI. I have S3 CHANGLI. She barely does damage. S3 with 300% critical damage, 80% critical rate. She almost does no damage. Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah, do not go for CHANGLI. I have S3. It's not worth it. Trust me, I regret. There could be like additional 3 units that I could get if I didn't pull S3 CHANGLI. So yeah, terrible free to play value. So stay away from her. The next one is Zhang Liao. Honestly, because you can get him at the beginning of the banner, the best choice will always be Shorekeeper, right? Or if you really want DPS, it'll be CAMELLYA because she can go with SANHUA and has a sword. This guy has gauntlets, and the newest gauntlet buffs basic attacks. This guy does liberation, so he's signature reliant, not really the best DPS. JIYAN is way better, but he's very easy to play. He's also very quick swap friendly, but unlike CALCHARO is more budget than him, and I think CALCHARO kinda outperforms Zhang Liao. I will say Zhang Liao might be worth using more than Lingyang. Yeah, Zhang Liao is better than Lingyang, that's for sure. But then CALCHARO is kind of better in my opinion because CALCHARO doesn't have a limit on how many death messengers you can do, where Zhang Liao, basically the same type of character, is just Zhang Liao is the limited one. Zhang Liao does hypercubes, but hypercubes can only be cast 3 times in rotation, when CALCHARO can do more than 3 death messengers, and that actually makes more damage than Zhang Liao every single rotation. So that's why Zhang Liao, in my opinion, he has longer rotation. Even with Lene, I think CALCHARO will outperform Zhang Liao, and the standard Broadblade just makes CALCHARO way better. So Zhang Liao is just worse than CALCHARO. When it comes to gameplay, he's easier to play than CALCHARO. When it comes to quick swap, he's more smooth, but again, CALCHARO, in my opinion, is more simple to use in quick swap because that's the biggest strength of CALCHARO, where Zhang Liao is like jack of all trades. He's like both hyper carry friendly and quick swap friendly, but for quick swap, I will actually, if I pull for quick swap specifically, I'll pull for CHANGLI. This guy for quick swap is not that good, but the reason why this guy is here and CHANGLI is here is because CHANGLI is cope in hyper carry, where Zhang Liao can still do decent damage and clear in hyper carry, but it's not really as good option. Honestly, nah, he's here. Yeah, he's okay option, but if you pull him right now, you're getting way less bang for your buck than if you pull, like, you can lose 50-50 on Lingyang, and I think Lingyang having so much synergy with the newest gauntlet on standard is way better than Zhang Liao. Sorry for all the Zhang Liao mains, your Zhang Liao requires too much, like, it's not budget. This unit was only budget when he first released, because then you could get 1 copy for free. Now you need to pull for him 80 to 160 summons, and if you're a new player, you need to run away from this guy. This is not the best, this is not a good choice on a beginner banner. The beginner banner weapon should be String Master, Rectified, and the only 5-star character from the beginner banner should be Shorekeeper. No one else. Maybe CAMELLYA if you want DPS, but Shorekeeper is preferred because you need a lot of teams now. So Zhang Liao is not a good choice anymore. Yeah, if you're a main, those 5 Zhang Liao mains, yeah, you're good. I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about free-to-play players. Players who maybe started the game, maybe are veterans, are not really that invested into the combat of the game. You might struggle and underperform with this guy. Because if Lene never released, this guy will still be like somewhere here. With Lene, he's like here. So that's my personal opinion. But again, you can lose 50-50, get CALCHARO, and in my opinion, CALCHARO outperforms this guy. When it comes to budget, when it comes to teams, and when it comes to damage. So, and quick swap. He's way faster rotating than Zhang Liao. More potential, damage potential for future than Zhang Liao. Zhang Liao needs buffs to his multiplayers, otherwise he's like dead. So that's for Zhang Liao. The next one will be ZHEZHI. ZHEZHI, in my opinion, for free to play, unless you have Cantarella, she's unless you have Carlotta, by the way, sorry, she's somewhere here. Yeah, she's like good for JINHSI. JINHSI sucks still, even with ZHEZHI. CHANGLI, again, like CHANGLI is DPS, double DPS. Like if you're free to play, you're trying to learn like quick swap, CHANGLI will be slightly better than ZHEZHI, but ZHEZHI is like, yeah, she can support Lingyang. Yeah, we're not pulling 5-star supports premium, wasting 80 to 160 pulls to get the character only just to buff the standard unit. I know I said Lene for CALCHARO, but that's because Lene is good for every single team in the game. Where for Lingyang, if you get the ZHEZHI, it's like barely noticeable change between ZHEZHI and SANHUA for Lingyang. Even Lingyang is not getting that much more value from this unit over this unit, because Lingyang does a lot of basic attack damage more than resin skill damage. So yeah, ZHEZHI for Lingyang is not really that much better than SANHUA, probably even, but for Carlotta she's like best in slot. And so when it comes to that, maybe we can say like, yeah, she's still like somewhat useful because she can support Carlotta, which is, with Carlotta she performs very, very good. So honestly, not garbage, but still like, besides that one character that she can buff, there's not really that many options. So yeah, Shorekeeper, this character is just S tier, brother. Like, if you're a new player, this is the only character from this beginning banner you should pull. She's amazing for free to plays. You level her up to level 50, you have everything you need, right? Now, the only reason you need to level her up to max level is because her enhanced intro is guaranteed to crit, and it does good amount of damage. That's the only damage she does in her kit, but she buffs critical rate, critical damage, and amplifies 15% damage to all of your teammates. So she's very, very powerful, and every account should have her, especially because double pawn matrix is the game mode. And even in TOA, there's a character like this called Morny. She's coming out soon. She'll be like a general buffer as well. Even if Morny outperforms Shorekeeper, Shorekeeper is still S tier. The reason why is because, again, the way the end game is designed. You need at least 2 teams in Whimpering Waste, at least 3 teams in TOA, and as many teams as possible in Double Pawn Matrix. So basically, the chances are the Shorekeeper is still very needed for every single team that doesn't use Morny, because Morny will be used on one team, Shorekeeper on another team, and that's the high meta level performance. So if you want the best general buffer in the game, Shorekeeper is your girl, and honestly the best waifu. She doesn't do damage, but in exchange she rotates very fast, easy to learn. She uses variation as the best in slot weapon, not her signature. And so yeah, like a 4-star that you can get at any point when pulling for a character or a weapon, she's very valuable. She's easy to build. She doesn't really need your talents. The only talents you need to level up is kinda like enhanced skills for that QOL, for those buffs, and like so you can like get that extra energy, so you can get so you can ignore like fatal blow, and that intro skill for that full damage. It's like 40k damage. You can actually, without that damage you're still good, but if you want like invest into her, you need like 6 weekly boss materials to actually get the max value from Shorekeeper. So that's basically what it is. She almost requires no major investment. Even her weapon is like, doesn't require pulling. So she's just busted of a unit. The next character that I will mention is CAMELLYA. You know, in my opinion, CAMELLYA is still smacking. She's like amazing. Camellia is just, in my opinion, a very good unit. She's obviously not better pick than Shorekeeper, but she's way better than someone like Zhang Liao. She's almost better than JIYAN, but because JIYAN has access to Chakona and Yuno, he is currently doing more damage than Camellia. But when it comes to 1.0 teams, and when it comes to like teams without Chakona, or like if you're using only Chakona or only Yuno on JIYAN as a sub DPS, double intro rotation with Camellia, Verina and SANHUA will still do more, in my opinion. Because she at 256% critical damage, Camellia still shreds endgame content. She's amazing, strong in Whimpering Waste, double phone matrix, and Tower of Adversity. So very strong unit. You should definitely pull for her if you want. If you think that she's someone that you will enjoy playing, she's definitely worth using, definitely strong, and in future she might get even better. With Lene, there's like interesting combination, but I like playing her with SANHUA. She still shreds the content, and she can also use standard sword. So very budget for free to play, very strong unit actually overall. She's not really that bad. People say she's trash, but that's people who doesn't really know how to play her. Because honestly, she doesn't take that much skill to play, but she can do amazing damage with SANHUA, by the way. So very cool unit. The next one will be Carlotta. At the highest potential currently in the game, because of bullying, I think Carlotta is just... I think Camellia and Carlotta are kind of even. But I would say Carlotta is slightly better. The reason why? Because she obviously has better Sonata set. But that doesn't like... If she had like 1.0 Sonata set, she'll be worse than Camellia, because Camellia still does more personal damage than Carlotta. However, the best in slot for Camellia, which is supposed to be ROCCIA, it doesn't really increase her damage that much compared to SANHUA. SANHUA actually gives more DPS to Camellia because of double intro rotation you can do. And so that double intro Camellia team, in my opinion, the highest potential that you can push her, actually kinda outperforms ZHEZHI, Carlotta and Shorekeeper. If you do Camellia, SANHUA, Shorekeeper. So that can actually outperform Carlotta, because Carlotta can only do one rotation. Double E, Forte, ult, when you're done, double E, echo, outro. So that's basically always the same exact rotation, nothing changes. If you change anything, your damage drops. So there's no other way to actually rotate this character to get more damage. So Camellia, on the other hand, has more windows to actually squeeze up more damage than in regular 1-3 rotation. So that's why like Camellia has a bit more potential than Carlotta, but Carlotta at the moment has ZHEZHI, and with S6 bullying, I think Carlotta will slightly she will definitely outperform 1-3 rotation on Camellia, but again, Camellia and Carlotta are basically the same, in my opinion, when it comes to damage. Because my Camellia has less critical damage than Carlotta, both of them have SIG, this character clears easier than Carlotta. So, and this character uses 4-star. This character, honestly, with ZHEZHI might be better, but yeah, it is what it is. Carlotta is still a very good pull if you build your bullying, and if you have S6 bullying, she's definitely still worth pulling, same as Camellia, so you cannot go wrong with any of these, and they can both use a standard pistol. The newest standard 5-star gun is very powerful on Carlotta, so she's even more budget friendly than before. So that's for Carlotta, very good, as well as Camellia. I think JIYAN outperforms them both because of triple mono AERO team that he can actually have, but these characters are still very strong, and they can get better in the future. They don't have like full potential so far. The next one is ROCCIA. ROCCIA is I'm sorry, this is at this point doesn't even matter. Both of these characters are just useless. Everything that they support, there's another one that does better. It's like second or third best in slot for any team that she can support, because there's just better option. Camellia, who's supposed to be the best DPS that she can buff, is actually outperforming with SANHUA, because this unit rotates longer than SANHUA, way longer, and doesn't do enough damage to actually compensate for the long rotation. And the buffs are not the best. So that's basically the important thing to actually keep in mind. So ROCCIA is not really that good. YINLIN is like somewhat good still, because with their signature, even with signature, ROCCIA is not really doing that much. But yeah, they're almost equal. YINLIN and ROCCIA, they're like same thing. Like there's not really much we can say there. The next one is Phoebe. Honestly, with recent update, I think Phoebe is so easy to play. Phoebe, in my opinion, for free to play, is very good option. Actually, if you have String Master, actually, if you don't have, actually Cosmic Ripples is also good, because the Sonata set they're using on her, Eternal Radiance, gives you 20% critical rate, so you actually don't have that much critical issue for crit stats than you have with other units. So standard Cosmic Ripples is still okay on Phoebe. It's not the best weapon in a game, but again, if you get her signature, she's just a beast. She's just amazing DPS if you can get her weapon. Not too much Sigurd Reliant, but again, any rectifier like Frolova's rectifier, like Stream Master, can work amazingly on these characters. So honestly, and she also does heavy attack damage. She amplifies her own damage if enemy has a Spectro Frazzle on them, which is where Spectro Rover comes in, applying at least 10 stacks of Spectro Frazzle every rotation of his rotation on field, and then she will do a lot of damage just for Spectro Frazzle being on enemy. Her Auto skill amplifies Spectro Frazzle damage by 100% and reduces enemies' Spectral resistance by additional 10%. So that's very amazing. As support and as a DPS, she's a very strong unit. In my opinion, probably... Actually, why are 4 stars behind 4? Like, what? Yeah, honestly, my opinion, I think for general, VERINA is better value, but when it comes to like premium units, Phoebe is the first one that I would say is more valuable than these, because she can at least be also a sub DPS, so she has more than one role in your teams. And now with Lene, she's actually kinda very strong. Spectre Rover, Lene and Phoebe is very strong, and so honestly, she's very budget, honestly. Very budget friendly. She with VERINA and Spectre Rover, they just clear everything. They're so good. The next one will be Brand. Brand, in my opinion, when it comes to building, he's very resource heavy, but he's a very good hybrid. He can do a lot of damage. If you master his rotation, he can do double anchor rotation. For free to place, he's actually right there. He's actually right there. He can pair with SANHUA, does double anchor rotation, do a lot of damage. He's also hybrid shielder and healer for mono fusion teams, so if you ever decide to pull mono fusion, he's very good free to play value. But there are obviously some better options, which we'll get into later. The next unit that I will check is Cantarella. I recently pulled Cantarella because I needed the premium buffer for Carlotta, and I'm not waiting for ZHEZHI. And Carlotta can also buff the best unit in the game, which is Frolova, if I ever need to use sub DPS. But for free to play, it's kind of like you can buff HAVOC Rover main DPS, which is kind of fine, but you also need to invest a lot of gear into Cantarella because she also needs to do some damage. I don't know, she's like, this is kind of hard because she definitely does more damage than ZHEZHI. You can actually optimize her fully for DPS and she can actually clear content as a DPS, unlike ZHEZHI. So honestly, Cantarella has more potential. I would say, let's say, because she's a sub DPS, right? And she supports like HAVOC Rover, that's like good value there. For free to play, because there are so many better options. Oh, dude, this is so hard. Actually, let her be here. She can support any resonance skill in the game. She can also cast so many echo skills that Frolova just crashes your computer with how much damage she's dealing on the screen. And she can support JINHSI, and she can... Oh my gosh, no, she's actually below Zhang Liao, sorry. Yeah, she's still solid, right? Like, she's not that bad, but it's hard to actually find use case. Nah, she's... Among all of these, she's like closer to getting on B, but she's actually C. Yeah, Cantarella is actually... Like, I trying to find a reason to use her over any other unit. Like, how close she is to... in like Carlotta team, she can like be useful, but again, like Carlotta with ZHEZHI, and ZHEZHI gives extra 20% amplification, and even then Carlotta struggles sometimes if you don't have full optimized build. yeah, honestly, Cantarella doing only 25% amplification is just, yeah, like she's like the second best in slot DPS in a game that you can use with Cantarella is JINHSI, the best DPS that can use this character, besides Frolova, and that's it. The free-to-play option is HAVOC Rover, but HAVOC Rover does basic attack damage and big nuke with liberation damage. Resin skill is like not even 20% of his overall damage on rotation. So yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Cantarella is so hot, like YINLIN. Same for like CHANGLI, and they're all mid. Like, they're all mid. Their value for every account is so mid. Next one is Zani, and honestly, Zani is joining the gang. The reason why, because for free-to-play, this character is a kryptonite. This character, when it comes to damage, she can do a lot of damage. If it was like damage only, she's right here, because obviously there's like better units than her. She'll be somewhere here, right? Because of her damage, but because she needs Phoebe, right? She needs Phoebe. Her value as a free-to-play, I'll be generous. To every Zani player, I know what you mean. SPECTRO Rover can be going double DPS with Zani, you can quick swap. For every free-to-play player in a comment section below, please tell me whether or not you want to sweat and quick swap just to be able to do well with Zani. If you don't, answer is get Phoebe. And even when you get Phoebe, you still need to quick swap to actually not drop your damage, because Phoebe can swap cancel that blue heavy attack, and then you can go to Zani, activate the Forte, then go back to your Shorekeeper and do those stuff, you know? Like the more optimized rotation, because yeah, the rotation can take decent amount of time, and yeah, the damage requirement to clearing the tower is more and more requiring. So you need to do a lot more than before to actually save time on Zani's rotation. So you can actually do the damage more than you actually do like setup, right? Because it can take longer to do the setup than actually the time while you're doing damage with Zani. That's very terrible for any unit. And for budget, she's heavy attack damage dealer. And honestly, you might say, oh, Mortefi might be good. No, she also, her damage is considered Spectro Frazzle damage. And basically her Spectro Frazzle damage gets increased with blazing stacks. That's how it's called, like blazing or something, I guess. And they only get increased by consuming Spectro Frazzle stacks. And Phoebe applies a lot of them. So Zani gets full blazing stacks with Phoebe, but with Spectro Rover you need to do some quick swap shenanigans in order to get those blazing stacks. So that's the reason why Zani is not really recommended. Her damage at the highest potential with her Sig, Spectro Rover and Phoebe on the team, she does a lot of damage. She's a very strong character. That's something we can never take away from her, but because how much investment you need for her team, and Phoebe, besides Zani, Phoebe can work on her own as a DPS, so there's like no reason to get ever JINHSI or to get Zani. Yeah, Zani can be supported by Phoebe, but you can also, so basically the Zani, she's good pick if you have Phoebe, but again, even then your Phoebe will do more than enough damage with Lene and Spectro Rover on the team, so there's almost no use case for Zani. That's actually getting, like, at least Zhangli Yao works with Lene, which is good for every team in a game, right? Zani's sub DPS is good only as a standalone DPS, and there are like better ones. Bro, this is so hard because I don't feel like dropping Zani all the way here, because I think Zani is actually good, but nah. Let me, yeah. Can I, yeah. Even the tier list doesn't let me put this Zani like above everyone else. So yeah, Zani is just very teammate dependent. If you're like a Zani main, you can make her work. But for those 5 Zani mains, again, yeah, you're doing fine. You can clear with her, but any free-to-play player investing so much gear, so much resources, pulling 2 characters just to play one to the high potential, just no reason, right? There's like someone like Augusta. You can pull her, get Mortefi, which is almost free, static miss for Mortefi, the newest standard Broadway for Augusta, and boom, she does clear content with ease. With Zani, you need to do crazy shenanigans. Unless you want to quick swap, Zani is here. If you want to quick swap, she might be here. So honestly, for the most majority of the players, like, exceptions don't make the rules. Like, those few players that can quick swap with her and they have fun with her, yeah, it's okay for you. But everyone else, other like 95% of the player base, bad value, not good value. So the next unit that I will mention is Chakona. This is one of the best characters in the game. When it comes to AERO teams, she's S tier. She's the best AERO team in entire game. Chakona basically makes so your AERO teams are doing insane damage. 39% damage bonus for AERO to entire team, and she gives AERO erosion stacks, which also do damage over time, and she rotates at the speed of light. Almost like a Sanhua level of speed of rotation, like 3-4 seconds. I'm talking about like 3-4-5 seconds rotation maximum. Like, she's very high rotating, and she is the best in slot and required for the best DPS in the game, which is the Kartatia. But without Chakona, Kartatia doesn't work. But without Kartatia, Chakona definitely works. With Jiyan, with Kartatia, with Yuno, with Juyan, every like AERO DPS in a game, Jiyan, Yuno doesn't do that much damage with Shorekeeper as they do with Chakona. So she's very, very versatile AERO unit. The best AERO unit in my opinion, because she has the most versatility of all of them and the most future-proof out of all of them. So in my opinion, she's a very good unit, and the universal unit like this is very, very important. So yeah, she's for free-to-plays. She's very good. She can use Static Mist for any team besides Kartatia. Kartatia benefits more from her Sig. But if you want, when it comes to buffing, she can just use her own, she can use Static Mist from the standard banner, and you're just good. You're just good. That 10% up to 20% depending on the sequences, your Static Mist will just buff incoming Resonator's attack. That's like more than enough on top of all of the other buffs. She's very good. She groups as well with her Forte. So yeah, she's just that good, man. Like, so besides that, Chakona is just amazing. And so yeah, let's go to the next unit, which is Kartatia. And Kartatia, if you have Chakona, for free-to-play value, I would say here, right? But I would say when it comes to here, because of her high damage and performance, she's here, right? She's I'm talking about slight difference between this and this. She's more free-to-play. She's more, I would say, way stronger. And like Sanhua, Kartatia can still comfortably clear first 2 floors on the middle tower, but 3rd and 4th floor you need like crazily built Kartatia and some quick swap rotation between 2 forms, Kartatia and Fleur de Lis, using AERO Rover's Ultra skill. So it's kind of like, yeah, you need to build your AERO Rover's talents. Your Sanhua is kind of for free and not really that hard to build. You need to build her echoes very well, and then her performance is like okay-ish, but not something that will blow your mind, right? Her performance then with Chakona surpasses any other performance with the majority of the team on the roster. She, with Chakona, blows up everything. You can even manage her rotation well in Whimpering Waste and still clear. So when it comes to DPS of the team, she has the highest DPS with Chakona. So Chakona is needed for Kartatia, but Kartatia is not needed for Chakona. This is why Chakona is better unit. So that's for Kartatia, very good DPS, not S tier because this is also encouraging free-to-play value. She's not hard to play either, so that's another plus. The next one is Lupa, and all honestly, I would say Lupa and Chakona are almost the same when it comes to value. Lupa, unlike Chakona, Lupa is for fusion. She's basically same as Chakona, but for fusion. So Lupa basically gives a lot of resistance shred for enemies for fusion resistance. Then she increases a lot of attack, fusion damage bonus to entire team. She also gives a decent amount of damage herself. And yeah, she's just that good. She does AoE, she's like very flexible, hard to hit from the bosses. Yeah, her signature, if you pull it, you can also use that signature on CALCHARO in TOA, and her signature also buffs entire fusion team. by 24% fusion damage. So that's very cool, but honestly she can also use the standard Broadblade and still do amazing results. She's very powerful team-wide buffer and also does decent damage for a team-wide buffer. So yeah, she's basically with Brand, she's basically alongside Brand a way more powerful because her ultra skill is 20% fusion amp and 25% basic attack damage amp for Brand, and Brand is basic attack damage dealer. So yeah, basically Lupa is the best fusion unit in my opinion. She can also buff Encore, so if you get Lupa you can also amplify Encore's damage if you have built Encore. So that's another plus, like very budget friendly. You can support one of the free-to-play units. And so yeah, like there's so much you can do with Lupa. The next one is Frolova, and now this is finally where we're getting like, brother, like any new account that you make, guys, any new account, Frolova is just almost, because you can get, here's the thing, I would say Frolova is here. The reason why, because Shorekeeper can be get for free now in beginning banner, right? So Shorekeeper is almost free. You'll most 90% cases you will have Shorekeeper. Frolova, however, she cannot be obtained from the standard banner, from the beginning choice banner. So Frolova's value is very important, and because you're investing a lot of asteroids, you're getting way more in return. This unit with Spectro, Rover, and Verina, which is like the low bottom of the barrel when it comes to like 5-star teammates, free, and the only premium unit on a team. She still clears everything from Whimpering Waste. She's the best Whimpering Waste character. She's the best TOA character. She's the best Pawn Matrix character because that's also like ongoing mode. She's just good anywhere. Even in holograms, Fantasies of the Thousand Gateways, she's good everywhere. She's checks all the boxes. She's dead busted. If you want quick swap friendly, she's amazingly good. If you want casual friendly 1-3 rotation, she's still very easy to play and very good. She's just all time. She's basically a custom made character. If a Wuthering Waves fan went ahead and created a character, this is what she will look like as a character. She's completely enormously busted. She has that after turn mechanic that increases her crit damage every single rotation, and the multiplier of her most powerful move, Scarlet Coda. I got 2 copies of Frolova on guaranteed PT, and guess what? I still haven't activated my S1 because her S0 is just dead busted. I have like 250% critical damage and like 80-90% critical rate with her Sonata set. She's just too strong. She's too strong. I have so much time of my life using Spectro, Rover, and Verina just to like drop her performance so much so I can actually feel my skill. But brother, she's so freaking good. She's just strong. That's like unfair. Anyone who has more than 250% critical damage at the baseline build is just cooking with this character. You can put HAVOC Rover, Spectro Rover, you can put Calcharo. Basically Frolova and Cantarella, the reason why Cantarella is so useful, Frolova and Cantarella make sure that two of these can just carry any DPS in your roster, right? That's why they're so good, because she heals, Cantarella also heals and supports, and so you don't lack healing. You have sustain and you have a lot of damage. Now you can put someone like JIYAN, you can put someone like DANJIN as a DPS, HAVOC Rover, Spectro Rover, and you'll still clear very easy. Like that's just, she's just broken, busted. She's just game-breaking character. So that, I think that was enough glazing for you to know how much good this character is. Shorekeeper and Frolova are the best units in the game for any free-to-play player and any player as a whole. That's like how good these units are. The next one is Augusta. Augusta, in my opinion, as a DPS, in my opinion, is one of the, if not the most budget-friendly DPS of the, when it comes to like the free-to-play units. Like the new standard Broadblade made her even more valuable. Frolova is way better, right? Because Frolova can just get the most junky teammates and still clear, because her damage is so amazing and how her kit works. Augusta is not that versatile, but her best in slot after which is a premium, is Mortefi. We already said the Mortefi is nearly free unit because you gotta get him so early as a new player. So yeah, Mortefi, Augusta, Verina clears, Mortefi, Augusta, Shorekeeper decimates, Augusta, Yuno basically is unfair. I think the game will just completely crash because yeah, it's just too much, man. It's just unfair, it's just overkill. So Augusta is just amazing with the new standard Broadblade. Her Secret Alliance is reduced, so she's way more free to play than even before, and even before she was one of the best free to play units. So Augusta, definitely amazing pick. She's coming out in phase 2, so make sure to keep that in mind. So that's for Augusta, simply just amazing unit. Then Yuno. Yuno is the best in slot for Augusta. But Yuno, I would say Augusta is better than Yuno here for now, but that can change in the future. Yuno is slightly behind Augusta because Yuno's DPS is not as high as Augusta's, and Augusta is like on the same banner next phase as Yuno, so Augusta is way more damaging. Yuno is not needed that much for Augusta, she just makes Augusta overpowered. Now Yuno, besides being a sub DPS, she's a hybrid healer and DPS at the same time. She does decent amount of damage when fully built. However, she's a gauntlet user. With the recent gauntlet standard weapon, she became way more valuable and way more free-to-play friendly than before. Before, she was Secret Alliance. She was Secret Alliance so much before 3.0. Now, with the new standard gauntlet, she's amazing value. She's a good DPS, not as good as Augusta, but she's a very good DPS as a whole. For free-to-play players, she's amazing with, even with the JIANXIN S2, you can still make her work. With the Lene, Yuno's damage is very comparable to Augusta Yuno. It's so good. Even Augusta Yuno team can actually slot the Lene that outros into Yuno, and you just get amazingly powerful team. Like, yeah, that's like Lene's release made so many characters on a roster so much better. So Yuno is very powerful character. Her outro skill gives 50% amplification to heavy attack damage, so any future heavy attack damage dealer can actually benefit and have synergy with this character. She also does a lot of personal damage, so very good. So yeah, honestly, not really that bad. And you can actually speed up her rotation with some dodge cancels in the air just for fast concerto. And basically, why you would do that, that's why she's so free to play friendly, because before you fully build her, and if she doesn't do that much damage, you will slot Moonlight Clouds. And when you do that, you will need faster rotation than you usually do with her to like ignore the damage because you're not doing any damage. And then she's just rotating faster and getting concerto faster. You get in the air, you just press dash every single 2 basic attacks. So every 2 basic attacks there's a dash cancel. Then you activate skill, the dash cancel, boom, dash cancel into another resonance skill, and then you just in like few seconds you just get insta rotation into Augusta. And then Moonlight Cloud will be amazing. The buff that you get from Yuno's domain, 90% amplification for Augusta's heavy attacks, big boost for Augusta, but for everyone else it's just 50% amplification heavy attack. So yeah, a very good unit, very powerful, strong. In my opinion, it's not really too good because I don't really see, like, besides Jiyan doesn't need Yuno, and Yuno is just a side grade to S6 Mortefi on Jiyan's team as a standalone sub DPS. If you have Shorekeeper, if you're using Chacona on Jiyan's team, then Yuno is way better than Mortefi, because Yuno also does a lot of more damage with Chacona. So Yuno is very powerful, but she in some cases gets way more value if you have other teammates on the team. So, but she's overall very good at DPS, sub DPS, and she heals, so a lot of versatility, very good unit nonetheless. Next unit is Galbrena. Galbrena, in my opinion, she's good. She's like Augusta, but I would say she's here. I would put Galbrena here. I think she's better. She does split damage between heavy attack damage and echo skill damage. Also, because of ease of use, I would say that, I mean, honestly, she's here. The newest standard pistol actually makes her way more budget than before. She also uses Mortefi with her advanced heavy attack oriented rotation, but the problem is, unlike Augusta, her rotation is not entirely heavy attack. She's split between heavy attack damage and echo skill damage, and so unless your character is echo skill damage applier, she cannot do her damage to full potential. Now, if your crits are good, and if you have Mortefi, she still clears middle tower. She's amazing, and with the newest standard pistol, she still claps, and she's amazingly strong, almost as Augusta, but Augusta fully benefits from Mortefi. When she benefits, only 70% of her damage will benefit from Mortefi, which is still good, but her ult is echo skill damage, while base heavy attack damage can only be fully utilized if you do that cancel after every third stage of your basic attack in her enhanced mode. So it's kind of like more skill reliant, but if you're fit to play, honestly, she's here, honestly. It's way easier to play and learn Phoebe. It's kind of slightly tricky to learn Galbrena, so Galbrena damage is there. Damage is almost comparable, but I would say for the sake of like ease of play, she's not really as easy to play unless you have Chuyan. There's the good reason why someone like Saint Tontas doesn't use anyone besides Chuyan in Galbrena's team. So that's basically that. She can also work very well in a mono-fusion team with the Lupa and Brand. She clears. She's way better than CHANGLI when it comes to main DPS. So yeah, Galbrena is just very peak as a fusion DPS unit, but for the ease of play, I would say she's all the way here, because Kartetia is harder to play without Chacona, but Galbrena is just not really that hard to play in the first place if you just know how she works. If you just dash after every stage 3 basic attack, you're just good. You're just looping the stage 3 basic attack and doing heavy attack damage over and over again and exploiting the auto skill of Mortefi. So that's basically some learning. So she's not the easiest unit to play, but for free-to-play players, she's still a good pick. I think Augusta is a little bit better pick though. Then for the next unit will be Chuyan. Chuyan, in my opinion, he can support Frolova, he can support Galbrena. Galbrena with Mortefi or Yuno even can do very well. And honestly, Chuyan, he has some versatility. I would say Chuyan is, when it comes to free-to-play value, for now, right? I think he still needs to be explored more. I will give him, oh my, this is kind of hard, because as a DPS, he will be over here. Like even Zhang Liao is, you know what? I'll put him here. Like, just for fun. I don't even care, like, I don't think Lingyang is better. I don't know, man. He can support he's part of the top meta team. So, yeah, let's put him here above Calcharo, yeah, because Frolova can benefit from him, but Frolova doesn't need any teammate to perform at the meta level, so at the moment, she has no need for any teammate, even Cantarella. So Chuyan, giving her so much value, still is not needed, right? It's not needed. So free-to-plays are like, yeah, you're getting a very powerful buffer, but if you don't have Frolova, his value is low. You don't have Galbrena, his value is not really that high either. He can use standard sword, but again, his personal damage is not really that high. He's maybe like, he also needs a decent investment like Jian in his team to actually perform as a DPS, but then Jian is way better if you have Jian already. So for the sake of DPS, he's not even better than Jian, and he's like 2.7 units, if I remember correctly. So yeah, so Chuyan is like, he amplifies 50% echo skill damage. That's only good for Frolova and Galbrena, and his forte gives 30% damage bonus for echo skills, and he also gives 30% critical damage to entire team with his ult. So that's kind of valuable, honestly. You can still use that critical damage on your other teams, but again, like, that auto skill and forte buffs are getting kind of wasted without him being on Galbrena or Frolova. So his best team are like good, but they don't need him to actually perform. So that's basically Chuyan. The next one is CHIXIA, and oh my. For free-to-play players, she's, oh my, I don't know who's worse, Zani or CHIXIA. I'll say CHIXIA is better because she has, at least she has some good budget teams like SPECTRO, ROVER, CHIXIA, and BULING, right? You can make that team and that team will work. As a DPS, she's not the best. Even with Lene, she's not really that good. CHIXIA basically supposed to be the negative status buffer, but she's not even 10% better than AERO ROVER, and AERO ROVER is free. this character requires you 80 to 160 pulls, and so she also requires signature to outperform Rover by barely 10%, and so CHIXIA is like kind of side grade for now, and maybe is good if you do Spectro, Rover and Phoebe. That's where you might see the difference between Shorekeeper and CHIXIA, because CHIXIA gives some personal damage, but yeah, like CHIXIA is not really that good for now. Her best team will perform the best, but it's like technically 10% better than like second best option, which is AERO Rover. Honestly, I choose AERO Rover even because of the gameplay. I choose AERO Rover over CHIXIA. So yeah, honestly, for now CHIXIA is a skip. In the future she might become a very powerful unit. She can. We need fusion debuff to be very well working with her. And again, like someone like Cartetia, she benefits from CHIXIA's outro, but she doesn't benefit that much from her outro than she does from AERO Rover. Like, it's almost the same thing. So yeah, if you don't have Chacona, yeah, she's good with AERO Rover to pair with Cartetia. That will like do decent damage. But again, like Chacona is just way better option than CHIXIA, because Chacona goes to every AERO team, where this character currently has only one meta team and like two budget teams. Like yeah, like that's basically what I can say about her. There's nothing too crazy. Like Spectro over her and BULING, or Phoebe Spectro over CHIXIA. Like that's like two non-co teams, and that's it. That's basically it for CHIXIA. Not too much value. However, there's another character in a game that is currently on banner, and that is Lene. We're finally here, ladies and gentlemen. I think Shorekeeper and Lene are kind of equal. I think Shorekeeper is here, in my opinion, because Shorekeeper is... She's almost for free, right? And she's a very old unit. Lene, however, makes some old characters, and in my opinion, that's way more valuable. Shorekeeper makes your team do consistent damage, gives them crit so they can consistently do damage. Lene has 15% damage amplification to incoming resonator and 25% liberation amplification. On CALCHARO, that's basically 40% liberation amplification from Lene. She also, with her ultimate, does give entire team for 30 seconds 24% damage bonus on all attributes. So she's basically better and almost exceeds the 50% amplification of some other units because of that 24% attribute damage bonus. Then her sub DPS set, that's only exclusive to her, gives extra 30% attack boost to incoming resonator, and her echo skill gives 10% attribute damage bonus to incoming resonator. So honestly, her set is stronger than Moonlight Clouds. Her buffs are stronger than YINLIN for CALCHARO and Zhang in hypercarry teams. She can also do decent amount of damage herself as a sub DPS when fully built, and honestly, she helps you clear. With Celestial Light, I think you can push her main DPS damage. She's not really made to be a full-on DPS. She can still do some damage as a full DPS to clear the middle tower floors at the maximum damage, where she can pair with someone like SANHUA and do a lot of damage. But again, she's the best sub DPS. That's her biggest strength. She can buff anyone in a game right now, and that is why Frolova was off the release the best unit, because she can pair with anyone and do a lot of performance, Frolova, and Lene just does that. But instead of contributing her damage, she contributes a lot of general buffs. So she's basically like Chacona, but for everyone. But when it comes to like, not every DPS will benefit from her more than others. For example, like Galbrena will get more buffs from Chuyan than from Lene. Someone like Cartetia relies more on applications of erosion and erosion interaction from Chacona than Lene. So Chacona will still outperform Lene in Cartetia team, and Chuyan will still outperform Lene in Galbrena. So that's basically something to keep in mind. She's not the best in slot in every single team. She just can slightly outperform the best in slot sub DP. For example, Carlotta. She gets decent amount of amplification from Lene and her set, and the damage from Lene also contributes to Carlotta's team. So Carlotta will do more damage here, and BULING will give extra damage bonus. So Carlotta might outperform Jaja's variation with Lene. So Carlotta might be boosted here. Also, someone like someone like Camellia gets a lot of more value from Lene than Carlotta, because Camellia will get the general buff, and that liberation, extra liberation for amplification is good for her ult, because her ult is still considered liberation damage, so Camellia benefits from that for the nuke. So very good. Lene, in my opinion, is the best sub DPS in the game. You pull that, she will definitely help you clear with every DPS on your roster, even with JIYAN. So yeah, Lene is just the best pick right now, and yeah, the most safe unit. And so like Frolova, Lene, and Shorekeeper honestly can make one team. This is actually funny enough. This team can also like completely destroy endgame. So that's also funny. So yeah, grouping, buffing, quick damage, quick rotation, can hold static mist as well, so that's something that ZHEZHI cannot do, is holding static mist. So that's another thing. And other units like that are not pistol users, those yeah, like she's just good, man. She's just too powerful of the release, and she'll get good with time, because yeah, she also interacts with tune mechanic even more, so she might be staple in future DPSs. So Lene is very powerful. The next one will be Morny, and you might be wondering, wait, Morny is not out yet. I have some privilege to actually look into her kit early on, and from what I can see, from what I can confirm, even without Lene on a team, Morny actually surpasses the buffing capabilities of Shorekeeper. Morny will be, alongside Frolova and Lene, the best possible unit in the game. So as of right now, I would say that Morny, I'm not saying the full kit, but she's just generally gives more damage buffs than Shorekeeper. She does more damage than Shorekeeper, way more damage actually. And so because of that, she can also interact with the tune break mechanic at a higher level if you have Lene. So even more benefit if you have Lene. She doesn't require tune break characters to actually work as a buffer. She just requires you to activate tune break, and every character in the game has a tune break built into their kit. Morny, when it comes to buffing, surpasses Shorekeeper. More damage to the team, but there's a slight caveat. She requires good pilot, right? She's not like hard to use, it's just Shorekeeper is just too easy and too consistent to use. She requires you to activate tune break on your teams, in your teammates needs to activate tune break skill, and then she applies that big buff from her ult, and her auto skill is kinda stronger than Shorekeeper's, so that is very important for someone like Morny. Yeah, honestly, Morny will be the #1 support when she releases, when it comes to every single team in the game, and when it comes to second best support, Shorekeeper will still be here. Shorekeeper, even with Morny's release, Shorekeeper is here. The best support after Morny. If you want just simple support, Shorekeeper is right here. I would say Morny is here because Shorekeeper, VERINA already exist. You also have BULING for your resin skill DPS. Morny might not be needed, even though Morny is, in my opinion, will be way better than Shorekeeper when it comes to numbers. Morny might not be needed. You might not need that much power increase for your account than Shorekeeper. But there's another thing that I will kinda tease, and that is Morny's S1 makes her stronger than Shorekeeper S6. So if you have all 6 sequences of Shorekeeper versus S1, only one extra sequence of Morny, Morny is still way better with S1 than S6 Shorekeeper. S6 Shorekeeper gives way more damage on intro, over 100k, and she gives a faster rotation on S3 and more buffs on S2 and the longer like Star Realm on S1. However, Morny surpasses all of that only with S1. So yeah, that's basically what it is. That's why Morny is here. I don't think Morny is necessarily needed because you can get Shorekeeper VERINA for free when you start the account. You can also get BAIZHI, you can get BULING. So you don't really need too many supports. If you're someone who didn't start after anniversary and you're a veteran player, you don't have Shorekeeper, you don't want to wait for Shorekeeper, and you want a very good buffer that can actually potentially surpass Shorekeeper, Morny definitely is the best choice on phase 2 because she's basically a Shorekeeper 2.0. And yeah, this will be my tier list. Honestly, I think I was pretty fair I'm CALCHARO main, I'm GALBRENA main. If this was like a biased tier list, my GALBRENA is here and CALCHARO might be on this level. But I'm not trying to cope, I'm trying to be as realistic as possible. I love playing SPECTRO ROVER, this is one of my favorite units. CALCHARO, GALBRENA, those are my one of my favorite units. I like playing CAMELLYA more than before because when I discovered that CAMELLYA actually does more than CARLOTTA, I was like, wait, what? So I started playing like JIYAN more. Yeah, like Augusta and Yuna are just overpowered. Every single time I use them, my Augusta is not even that well built. And I put Yuno, which doesn't have a good weapon, and brother, just Augusta just clears first try. I'm not even critting on every single rotation. I'm still clearing. Like, I'm also trying to make JINHSI work on my account. I'm just trying like fully build her to see like if there's like some potential. But for free-to-play players, this tier list is basically giving you the best possible scenario. Kartetia when with Chacona still like destroys the endgame, but unfortunately you need Chacona for Kartetia. And Kartetia kinda has a sig reliance because she scales of HP, so any other weapon in the game would just be DPS loss. So yeah, that's like, yeah, Verina is still very powerful, Shorekeeper is still like general buffer, even with Morni. Like Morni is like not like immensely like crazily power creeping like crushing Shorekeeper. Morni is just deals more damage, does a bit more buffing, and yeah, and if you have like tune character like Linne, that gets into like the next level, right? And so like Morni has more potential now than Shorekeeper because Shorekeeper is at her potential. Like she's just general buffer and that will never change. Where like Morni on the baseline without other tune break characters is better than Shorekeeper. And then with other tune break characters she gets even better. So that's basically the Morni status. She's almost like Brand. In terms of damage, she will do definitely more damage than Shorekeeper, way more damage. But if she's like close to Brand's damage, I can see her replace Brand for those who want the most value, right? If you want monofusion team, you want sustain, but you don't want to pull Brand and build him forever, you might as well just go for Morni, but yeah. As we know, she will use energy regen a lot for most of her kit. She scales of defense, as we know from the in-game suggestion that Kuro did. So the suggestion is for Morni to give defense stats. So yeah, Morni is honestly, defense is like kind of weird, but you can use Discord 4 stars. So yeah, very, very good unit. It'll be amazing. I think this tier list was fun enough for me. I think it is the closest to correct. I know some of these units might piss some people off. Zani, yeah, I know. Zani is like up here with damage. But when it comes to free-to-play, nah. When it comes to like free-to-play, JINHSI, even if you fully invest into JINHSI team, she's still like not good performance, man. Not good. If you miss crit, you're done. CHANGLI, good in quick swap and in any other playstyle outside of monofusion, but again, in monofusion you will put GALBRENA, so you're gonna like use GALBRENA in more teams, but this character is like any other team that you can use her outside of monofusion is quick swap. YINLIN, ROCCIA, yeah, they're just eating bad. Those two units are like down bad. Unfortunately, they're like not really, use case is not there. Actually, Cantarella is better than CHIXIA right now, because at least Cantarella gives so much more performance, so much more damage, disgusting damage to Rolova than CHIXIA. CHIXIA just increases the best increase that she can give is basically, yeah, I think she's all the way here, brother. Like, I will pull JINHSI. If I have to choose between JINHSI and CHIXIA, I will pull JINHSI. Like, CHIXIA is like, I don't know, she's like weird. But yeah, CHIXIA is still better than these units because at least CHIXIA is having some teams that can perform better than these units. But yeah, this will be my tier list. If you enjoy this kind of videos, when I make a tier list, give my honest opinion and explanation for every single unit. If you like this kind of videos, let me know in the comment section below. Like, subscribe for more future tier lists and guides like I plan on making, and see you in the next video. Peace.